Folks, Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions LLC, BHSpringSolutions.com again. We've just made our final compatibility test and function test in the Springfield SA-35 with the BH modification, this being the BH Advanced Trigger Subassembly. And I want to try to make this video with one hand here. The BH Advanced Trigger Subassembly has moved the position of this trigger a little further back in the trigger guard. It's much more of a straight back trigger pull, and this trigger now has no over travel. The reset is early, coming back, and we'll see how we can show this here. Magazine eject assist, that is quick coming out of your, now has a magazine eject assist spring. 4 different trigger return springs, gives you control of your trigger break and reset within about 2 pounds, plus or minus about a half a pound for each one of those trigger return springs. That is a versatility you do not get with the original trigger subassembly for the high power pistol. And I'll tell you, this this new trigger is just wonderful. The take up is there, the brake is there, and let's see how I can show this lack of any kind of over travel here. See if we can get a look at this. Watch the trigger finger not move when the slide comes rearward. Yes, and here is the reset, nice and early like that, in the trigger travel back forward. Just really love this trigger action. So we're going to throw a few more rounds. It's almost dark outside, but I want to clear this to get this to our refinish shop in the morning. Starting to get quite dark out tonight, and I'm looking to beg, borrow, and steal from the daylight that's left here. Okay, we have one more round of shooting to do. We confirmed the BH Advanced Trigger Subassembly is compatible. It drops right in perfect in the Springfield SA-35, and just about out of daylight. That was our last BH modification. We needed to confirm compatibility in the SA-35. It's wonderful. It is just. Why did we do this last? Objectively, the trigger subassembly that Springfield put into the handgun, it was the least needy part of the entire handgun, was that trigger subassembly. They did a nice job of it. God knows FN and Browning never released an out-of-the-box high power that was had any kind of a decent trigger pull. Kudos and hats off to Springfield for finally somebody having a respectable out-of-the-box trigger. This is a wider trigger. This one is serrated, gives your finger some grippiness. It's a very nice straight back trigger pull. Everything about it it's just a fantastic product, and it is a betterment in the SA-35. But any a wider trigger and more advanced technology, it's going to be. Okay, we're going to take and I'm going to shoot one magazine for low light accuracy. We'll see how that works out. And then I'm going to put another magazine and we're just going to pour it through. So here we go. Okay, 15 more rounds. We're around, I'll have to count it up, but we're around about 1,000 rounds that we've now put through the SA-35. And let me tell you, the last few hundred, couple hundred, 300-ish, sure has been a pleasure. And with the BH Advanced Trigger on here now,
it is a real pleasure at this point. I'm just really liking what we're experiencing here. It's just as good now, as good as it gets in high power pistols. So here we go. Here's this last one. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful function. Love this gun.
I'm going to see if we can run out there, take a look at this target here in the final light of day. Nice, nice. I wasn't as accurate. We're really pretty low light going on right here, but yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that here tonight. Really good stuff, and very excited about this handgun. Alrighty, folks, it is time to take this SA-35 down to bare frame and bare slide, because we're going to get this girl some clothes back on. There's no finish on this steel at this point. When we did that deburring process, that did take care of the black oxide, the original black oxide finish. That was a pretty fast basic black oxide finish, to be honest with you. We're gonna do something a little bit maybe a little more appropriate for a high power, I think. We'll see how it turns out. There we go. Thought we would just demonstrate the disassembly. Take the opportunity to do that for everybody, and you can. This will be a chance to kind of take a quick peek at how the entire high power is disassembled. I think what I just did needs no explanation and introduction, and we're going to try to keep all of our parts and everything organized as well. We can go ahead and get this magazine release out. In order to do that, you just press the magazine release from the left side, and then when you do, turn that screw, and that screw is also your magazine catch spring guide, is what that little screw is there. That's the guide for the mag release spring. So that's out, simple enough. I think we're going to go ahead with the SFS system. We remove the slide with like that, with the slide in the forward position. Now we do have BH's threaded BH advanced barrel on here, so we will have to remove the thread protector. Go ahead, and we have the buffering BH buffering recoil spring guide rod. The 18-pound progressive recoil spring, after we deburred this pistol and it started, so it could cycle with itself. The 18-pound progressive just is performing like it has in all the other Browning high powers and look-alike clones. And that spring handled every ammunition we put through it in our last couple tests. We had some plus P and every other flavor of ammo we had around here. So that is a really nice thread protector, nice appearance when it is all put together like that. So grungy, boy, that's dirty. Everything is going to get very, very nicely cleaned now, and the rest of the slide comes apart very easy. We have a firing pin retaining plate removal and installation tool, and that makes it just about as easy as that right there. Also very safe for my windows and walls in here. If that one gets away, it's a little dicey with that heavier firing pin spring behind it. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take a 3/32 pin punch, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of the sear lever pin. The sear lever pin, the original one, we replaced that pretty fast because it deformed after we uninstalled it and installed it a couple times. There's the BH sear lever pin. and it's holding together. It's been in and out God knows how many times now. Holding together integrity very, very nice. So I think that was a good move. We got the Type 1 safety sear lever that we installed. There's that little wonder spring right there, and good shape. That performed just perfectly, and when we combined that with the BH Advanced Trigger subassembly, boy, we just got trigger performance and level of trigger travel that was just wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and protect our front sight there, and we need a 5/64 roll pin punch. Really is the best punch for this one. Your extractor pin is here. This is another part that we replaced. The original pin just started shredding. Actually, it was a scroll pin, and those usually aren't long for the road. This is a BH roll pin holding together. We don't know how many times in and out it's been now, but it's been a bunch. So it's holding together well. And here's the FN Browning extractor that we have installed. Beautiful shape. And we have BH's optimized extractor spring for high power pistols. And folks, we have the slide down as bare as it's going to go, and haven't decided if we want to do a refinish over these sights. I think we're going to have to, because yeah, we're going to have to do something, because that's very, very bare up there as well, very bare back here. So yeah, we'll either coat the sights a different color, or we'll coat them right along with the slide in this case. But at any rate, our slide is refinished. That one is ready to go to media blasting. Come over here to the frame part. Frame, real easy with the SFS system. You just pop your sear spring out like that. We'll go ahead and release the tension on the hammer here. First step with the SFS system, actually, there we go. We need a 1/16 punch, and it's going to go right here for that ambi lever. And almost, there we go. Got the pin, got the ambi lever, and we'll just keep those together for later. This SFS system now has 9,000 rounds on it. It was in the TISAS for 8,400 rounds, been installed for a little over 3 years. And I'll show you the actual parts that we're using out of that system. The sear spring, that was the sear spring out of the SFS system that went the 8,400 rounds in the TISAS. It still is putting plenty of pressure on the sear, good shape. When you remove this side of the safety, over here you want to take a polishing cloth or something. That cocking lever spring has a tine on the end of it, and it can get your finger. Just enough to... It'd be a handy thing if you needed to draw 1 drop of blood. That spring is still performing its job well. This is the slide stop that was used. 8,400 rounds in the TISAS, now has 9,000 rounds on it. Okay, we can take our left side cocking lever or safety lever out. We call it a cocking lever with the SFS system. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead, rotate down the ejector. The hammer assembly of the SFS is going to come out. All the parts inside the hammer assembly, those are all 9,000 round parts. The mainspring, just everything about it is that. And we're just using this opportunity and the ammunition to just do some extended longer term testing with the SFS operating system. It's just a convenient time for us to do that, and it's operating like a new SFS system right out of the box at this point. Okay, we're just pushing out our sear pin out of the frame, and we're going to now have parts, 3 of them. We have our sear. That's a 9,000 round SFS sear at this point, and we're going to take a peek at, well, I'm not going to need to look at that under magnification. There's just nothing to see. That thing is beautiful. This is the Springfield OEM ejector, and the return lever or SFS lever, that's out of the SFS system as well. So we got everything in the fire control group emptied out. Only have our trigger sub-assembly left to go. And we won't need a step 2 on that. This is the original trigger pin. I think it's going to be probably tighter again after we've done the refinish. However, if it is not, we have a self-tightening trigger pin for the high power pistol that we'll install if that one doesn't install as firmly as we would like for it to. And we're going to right now snake out the magazine eject assist spring. That's a new spring. That is a new design. It's called a magazine eject assist spring. It only is used with the BH advanced trigger subassembly. And I'm going to drop my trigger subassembly parts here in a different bag. But that was, working just beautifully. Now go ahead and slip out our redesigned trigger pawl. This is a different trigger lever than you see on the OEM trigger that we've all grown to know and probably not love too much. That's the design of the trigger lever. Excellent part. It's just so much nicer of a design for the high power pistol. It enables so many different options to control trigger, break weight, and reset, and really customize that to your own liking. Okay, we're down to bare frame. We're down to bare slide. We are ready to go to media blasting and preparing the steel and acetone bath, preparing the steel for its new outfit. So I have to tell you, folks, we're excited about this now. We have confirmed every BH Advanced high power component that we've ever designed for the FN Browning high power and the clones. All of them are compatible here in the Springfield SA-35. So that is one of our that is one of our 2 core objectives for why are we doing all this. That mission is accomplished. All parts have been found to be compatible. Now, the last question that we wanted to answer is, can we use this frame slide as a foundation for the BH Advanced Masterpiece High Power Series? We're getting much closer, and I have to tell you, based on the latest test firing, performance, extraction, accuracy, everything that we've been doing, I got to tell you, I think things are going Springfield, are going the Springfield SA-35's way at this point, in terms of hopefully an affirmative decision about that last that second objective of all this testing. Is this a suitable platform? Is this a suitable structure for a BH Advanced Masterpiece high power? The most recent performance I've been getting out of this with BH's advanced components in it, it has been every bit equal to the performance we get out of a BH Advanced high power when we use other foundations like an FN Browning frame and slide. So we are getting closer to answering our two core questions. We're also getting closer to having the processes down that kind of do the last 5%. Of the just the cleaning up the sharp edges, and that has made just a complete difference in this handgun, how it performs. I've watched a lot of other shooting videos on YouTube that have it seemed like there were like 24 of these things that just popped up on the day that this pistol was announced, and I've watched them, and I've watched the shooting, and I've watched the extraction, and I got to tell you, most of everything I'm seeing is extraction that is barely happening, barely lopping out of the pistol. Maybe it's going a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever. Those pistols are short cycles waiting to happen. It's not that difficult to correct. This extractor channel has got to have smooth transition. It's got to have room for this extractor spring and the extractor, and of course we covered that. All the sharp edges have got to be gone so we don't do any more of this business to the hand. Those I don't know if we can even see that, but the deburring process that we did, I think it's actually going to show up that the sharp edges are just not there anymore. Here at the top of the ejection port, I would have never pressed and done that because it would have opened up my skin. Now we can do that. It's still an edge, and it's okay. It should be an edge, but it just shouldn't be a knife. Now it's not. Everything everywhere just seems, we don't have these sharp, nasty edges, and the slide and the frame, they like each other now, and they're working together cooperatively, not against each other like they were in the very beginning. And I have to tell you, I mean, we are enthusiastic. This is a difficult handgun to manufacture well by anybody. I'm saying FN Browning didn't do all that bang up of a job of manufacturing the high power design themselves. I don't know that I ever encountered an FN Browning out of the box where the trigger pull was worth a damn. Dismal, gritty, scratchy, nasty, 9-pound, just almost like there was no excuse for that. Well, frankly, there wasn't any excuse for that. Springfield showed that with how they, did up their trigger subassembly without the magazine disconnect. The spring, they had to, kind of do a workaround and design differently. But, for what that trigger subassembly is, they did do a nice job. And it's the reason why we replaced out the trigger last and tested our own trigger in it. However, when we did, boy, what a difference it is. But that's just because of the design. It has nothing to do with the job that Springfield did or did not do with respect to the trigger subassembly. So, what I want high power folks to know is, this idea that a high power pistol gets manufactured and you got to take it somewhere and have it worked on and the last 5% done or the last 10% done. This is not new. This is not something that is like, oh, Springfield this. Oh, no. We've seen this forever. I mean, like I've been carrying a high power pistol now for 31 years. Granted, my FN Browning out of the box, stone cold reliable. Absolutely. Yes, it was. It was also about an 8-pound trigger pull out of the box, and it was gnarly and terrible. But it shot, but you compare the trigger performance of that pistol out of the box 31 years ago, and it was nothing like we're producing today, because FN Browning didn't take the design that far, and they didn't refine the trigger ever, which is too bad, because they left a lot of good stuff on the table with respect to the high power design. And so, I know a lot of guys are going to go, oh, well, God, you're trying to let Springfield off the hook. They should have done this and they should have done that. I mean, and I understand. I mean, there's multiple different perspectives we can come at that with, and a lot depends on what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it to, a lot of 1911s out of the box, 1911 design, having margin all over it where you can do a lot of stuff wrong and it'll still cycle. I mean, that's not even an apples to a grapefruit comparison, frankly. The high power pistol has had a reputation for being an extremely complicated, difficult design to produce well. And the key word there is produce well. It's been very, very seldom. It's the reason why the Nighthawks and the Wilsons and the Cylinder and Slides and the Ted Yost of the world have had, pretty decent business out of the high power design, is because these things were always sent out as, military grade stuff and just needing love. And, so that's what the world has become accustomed to. This one presents some different issues with the the extractor channel and the snaggle tooth deburring that was needed done there, and just the general deburring everywhere. But the thing that we are showing, the thing that we're seeing now, is after we've done that, my goodness, under the little sharp edges and things, there's a fantastic functioning handgun under here. And I'm glad we found it. I'm glad that we a lot of people are going to go, well, do you didn't really need to deburr that? Yeah, we had to. We couldn't cycle. The The sharp edges inevitably are going to do two things. They're either going to deburr themselves, or they're going to deburr themselves and leave a lot of stuff all over the inside of the pistol that's keeping the slide and the frame from functioning well. And granted, we may have been able to have just blowed all that stuff out, you know, maybe ran it through a media blaster to just, you know, get all of that junk out of there, which, you know, would take off the finish too. And blow some more rounds through it, and maybe this thing ultimately, in the end, deburrs itself if we have enough thousands of rounds to do it, and enough patience. But in this case, we didn't have that, and so what got us on the going the direction of we have to deburr this pistol in order to get successful cycling. What got us to go there is we had installed all proven operating system and recoil parts. We know how these components perform day in, day out, consistently, every time. And there was nothing left to do to this handgun to try to get it to be able to cycle. We couldn't spring it any lighter, or we would not be able to strip the rounds out of the magazine going back into the chamber to load. There was nothing else we could do. We really had eliminated every possible causative thing with that poor cycling, except those sharp edges on the frame of the slide. There was nothing left in the picture that could have been contributory. There was nowhere else to go. We had eliminated all possible causatives, and that's how we had this kind of a hunch that we deburred this thing, and this thing's going to start running like a champ, and it absolutely has. So, folks, we are now going to the Media Blaster, and the BH Custom Shop Service Department is going to take care of a new presentation or some new clothes for this girl. And we'll be back in touch with you soon. Thanks for watching the special review of the Springfield SA-35 High Power here on High Power University at BHSpringSolutions LLC and BHSpringSolutions.com. Thanks for watching, folks.